Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Talk About Baku podcast. Well, it's the midweek of the first week of August 2024 and today I will be your host. My name is Layla from Baku City, born and bred, and I come from a pretty diverse background, a multiverse if I may add. Again, it's all about advertising, marketing and label representation in China for over 8 years and then tourism industry in Azerbaijan since 2017. Including private and government sectors and finally multinational business and multicultural experience in the government sector within GCC market during the last 3 years. Well, today we started to record our second episode where from the first one, I think you already learned that, how to arrive to Baku, what's what in the international airport of Terminal 1, which is small but very busy airport in Azerbaijan, Baku City, which is the capital city. So you find yourself on a breakfast the next morning, right? And you think to yourself, all right, I have all that information on the internet. Everybody writes pretty much the same thing, if not the same thing, literally. And why everyone wants to give me the same package? You know what I mean? Is it anything else? Absolutely. That's why you're listening to this podcast. This is something that I'm doing when I pretend or want to be an expat in Baku City. I see it from a very different angle, and my aim with this podcast is to bring that angle into the widespread audiences, people that are passionate about travel, but to travel not according to the mapping of it, confirmed mapping of it, because somehow it's easier, faster, or more convenient as a package deal for the company. And believe me, the things that I will introduce, the routes that I want to introduce to you, they're really not hard to manage, but somehow they never made it into the one general presentation of this wonderful city. And it is wonderful city, in fact. Baku is busy, and these days it's even massively busy, if I may add. With all the international events that are happening, within 2-3 weeks, we have Formula 1 in Baku. In September, then we have COP29, which is confirmed, and just another massive, and by the way, by a history of a country, first time ever, a gigantic event that will take place, literally first time ever in the history of the country as well. So we have it, we have massive teams, government teams, private sector that is working on putting the country and the city on the map, which is already on the map, but they have a vision and they support that vision. So what we're going to do next today, we want to do a mapping of day one from my perspective, from the perspective of discovering Baku from the core set. You know what I mean? Core value, core history, where it should start originally. And it should start by the area which is called Bayil, Bayil, Bayil. It's the very historical area. It's the area that has been through multiple changes, multiple renovations, multiple plannings, and then finally taking the form that it has today. It has a very small but very famous areas, which is Crystal Hall. It has the flag area, which is on the constructions. I do believe by the time if you listen to this podcast, in 2025, 2027, you will already have that. But it's under the construction. It should be the biggest one in the Mid-Eurasian. It was biggest in the world, but every year we have another country that comes up with a bigger and bigger initiative. But it's not the most important part. It's the symbol that flag represented for the entire country, and the symbol gives strength, gives another push for the private and government sectors, brings pride to a nation to see that big of a flag. in a city of that has 300 windy days out of 365. That's a must to know, by the way. Anyway, so what we do is we drive to Baku, and we start from, and I know it can come up as a very long name or a hard name to say, but Surakhanı Ship Museum. First time ever tanker museum in the world that has been built in Baku City by private sector. It's a wonderful big ship. It has tickets available from 10 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. And if you're a couple or if you're a single traveler, fine. You will be joining to a group of people, because they do group tours inside the ship, which will take you 2 hours. And believe me, the way the time passes inside this wonderful, humongous ship, you will never even notice, because the part after the section of the entire ship is introduced to you, including at the very beginning you're introduced to a capsule which has a virtual assistant in the form of local captain. The captain, one of the last captains of that ship, virtually talking to you and saying hi in 3 languages, local, Russian, and in English. Considering that first biggest travelers are nearby countries travelers, which 99% of them speaks Russian first as a second language. Anyway, so you have him saying hi to you, and then you follow into a very small museum, and you can see literally artifacts that were found, the life forms that were found and dried, and then given to a museum as a gift by discoveries, by people that are obsessed with Caspian Sea, and they're making, like, every year, every 3rd or 5th year, there will be another big document that comes out and states the changes in flora and fauna around Baku City, including Caspian Sea, what's going on, how much fish we have. And the depth of Caspian Sea is actually, people think it's deeper than it should be. At some places, at some books, you will see Caspian Lake, and then it says sea, because it's pretty much imitating the sea with all the credentials. Anyway, so next you will follow into multiple different rooms, and they're big enough. Then you have a museum of all the ships, and exclusively the most expensive ships of the world, the miniature versions of it, followed by amazing show on the top of the ceiling where you can literally hear the sea, and then imitation of the water is displayed on the walls. And then suddenly the guide of this wonderful museum will tell you, look, we're going into a very special area, we're in the midsection, and you will find yourself in 360-degree room where it's lighting up as soon as you take a seat, and it will give you the full history, not only of Baku City as a city, it will give you history of the entire nation, ending with the photos and then videos how the ship, the first ever tanker ship, was first of all built, served its purpose for years, then was damaged and just put into a waiting, and it's very emotional. It's very interesting and entertaining, and it takes you like around 10 to 15 minutes. Then the guide will return, take everybody to the next room, which is room filled with interactive games to teach you the language that is used, the symbols, the language, the everything that you have to know if you're a captain of the ship or you the crew of the ship. And believe me, that's another hour, because they have amazing room, and then they have interactive games that you can engage with. It's for 1 or 2. Then you have another big set, a setup for actually trying to lead the ship virtually. It's a literal thing, the entire display of a very expensive control room of the ship, and you're invited to kind of play the game. So next what you have is, again, artifacts that were found, the first documents ever launched in Azerbaijan to even have, craftsmanship of the ships, to build ones, the very first ship that was a pirate ship. You're gonna see everything that comes with the sea, the Caspian Sea. It's like a Caspian Sea was finally giving a chance to have its own history displayed on this side of the land, because we know Caspian Sea is surrounded by Russia, by Kazakhstan, and Central Asian countries as well. Part of it also falls under Iran. So the part that was living, breathing, and existing on the side of Azerbaijan, you'll just see it all. Let's say that. So you will be invited to explore captain crew's rooms. You can be inside. Then there's a captain crew level where you just have to climb up to the top of the ship, and then you'll see how they lived, how they existed, where the restaurant was, everything, and even imitations of like some of the crew members like drinking tea or something. Finally ending the entire journey with the control room, an actual control room. You can touch everything you see there. You can even take a very, very old and massive phones and put it on your ear and try to communicate with the lower side. And of course, before you try to Google it, I'll put all the links below. You can check the map, you can check the website of the Surakhani Ship Museum. It's one of a kind. The tickets are extremely cheap, and I think it's around the local, if we because I was there like 2 weeks ago. I think for the locals it's a lower price, but then again it's 10 manats as a local currency. I think between 10 and 12, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, they never charge high. They actually are interested for more and more people to discover that it's one of a kind in the world. There's no other museum like ship museum of this massiveness, that I've known of. And trust me, I'm Googling it every year, so the statement stays. Anyway, so there's also interactive VR tool that you will be introduced. You can wear the VR glasses. The glasses will show you real-time people trying to do their jobs, and there will be some I don't want to spoil it, but there's like a movie type of experience, because you can move your head. You can actually step into some zones, but there will be guide not to let you fall down, because you're in a museum one way or another, and some areas are restricted to enter, but it's another experience, and everything is included. So imagine 1.5 hours or 2 hours from, let's say, 10:30 a.m., and it's already midday, and you're finally introduced to a wonderful last area of the ship that was turned into a restaurant, actual functioning restaurant. Everything that you need about the fish is there. The entire menu of Caspian Sea. So you can either choose to stay, or the area that I'm inviting you to start from has 3 main sites that you have to visit. So we start with the ship, we say goodbyes, and you can re-enter without buying a second time a ticket, because restaurant operates completely differently. So if your aim is to go to the restaurant, you just say it at the gate of the ticket purchase office that I'm back because I want the restaurant experience, and you will be invited ticket free to go back to the ship and enter the area for the restaurant, which is on the 2nd floor. Again, 2nd floor of the ship. Don't forget that. It's not a building. So it's going to be high. And the entire city is just under your palm. You're sitting there, you're breathing Caspian Sea air. That's wonderful. But before we will do that, my program would follow to go off the ship, walk to the right side, and I'll put the map so you can see that area is filled with interesting sites. And we step into Yarat Contemporary Art Space. It's 2 side-to-side buildings. Both of them are free of charge. Both of them host one of the most successful contemporary artists of Azerbaijan, whether it be a scandalous piece of art or whether it be extremely boring piece of art. it is all jammed with visual representations and dark rooms where you can actually see the works of Georgian, of Central Asian artists, visual artists, video artists, everybody's there. But then again, the majority of the space is given to contemporary art of Azerbaijan, which is in the midst of its development, and it's very close, to be honest, to regain its popularity the way it was in 1992. And even before that, during 1980s and the late 1980s, we were famous of producing an extremely beautiful, extremely political, and then extremely non-political, rebellious art, which is till today, more than 90% is hidden by the private owners and collectors. Only 1% was introduced to the public, and it was already bizarre enough. So it's very nice to be surrounded by that. You don't need a ticket. All you need to understand or know is that they have English-speaking wonderful volunteers, and then workers of the museum that are pretty happy to see anyone that comes in. They're always busy. It's always busy area. Sometimes you have groups inside. So just make sure to find that time and find that courage, I would say, to go and discover Yarat Contemporary Art Space, which is a museum, NGO, as a non-governmental entity. So, and they have a little public library just at the entrance of the first building. I will mark that on my comment section as well for you. So all you have to do is to click and discover. And as soon as you're done, which will take you another hour and a half to be in both sides, to discover both sides, you can have, in the middle, they have a coffee bar that you can enjoy either a cold drink or a coffee. And then what you do, you go further from that area, past the flag, I would say, arena, and then you're inside of a Stone Chronicle Museum. So it's called Stone Chronicle Museum, but the entire museum is dedicated to one topic. It was a fabric, it was a button fabric in early 90s and late 80s, completely reconstructed, but the building construction, like a building architecture, was untouched. So they kept it to the maximum. They didn't want to even, change the floors inside the building. It was so important for them. And you will see massive constructions that were melting metals outside the museum. But I would actually call it a Gobustan museum. So you have a preview area available free of charge again. You don't need to buy a ticket. All you need to know that it's opened after 10 a.m. For example, Yarat Contemporary Art is opened after 12. So that's why I'm mostly advocating for you to start with the ship museum, and then by the time you're finished by 12, Yarat will be opened, and you just can go in and have fun, have a moment with contemporary art of Azerbaijan and the entire Eurasia, mid-Eurasia, and Central Asian artists as well. And then what we do is, inside the Stone Chronicle Museum, it has wonderful displays from Gobustan area, which is 2 hours away from Baku. Why you should do that? You have a preview available at your fingertips with 2 more places that you already visited. And if you like what you see on the third one, you might then decide to have a ride the next day if you have day 2. If not, it's available until 6 p.m. So as soon as you have your lunch, which is very, very near to that Stone Chronicle Museum, there's a Deniz Mall where you have variety of choices. They have a food court, so get in there, just have fun. And then you can take, let's say, Bolt or Wolt or Uber, and then, with an Uber, kindly asking the driver to wait until you finish with the museum, because he will get ordered anyway by you to go back. And anyway, so the first floor of the Stone Chronicle Museum is completely dedicated to Gobustan. It's a open air museum, which is dedicated to the first discovered life signs with stone, massive, I would say, stone cravings of humans, animals that were there before. So the first ever human life was found in that area. So you see stones, replicas of the stones, real ones, and then even some of the contemporary artists that dedicated entire series of arts using the real stones or imitating them, and then giving you the history and understanding the way they understand the first life ever existing in nearby Baku, future, I would say, Baku city. So there you have it. And the second floor is entirely given to the headstones of nameless soldiers or important people by the kingdom that existed under the Muslim reign in Baku. So you're gonna walk on the sand on the second floor, and you'll see separated open walls, like half walls around yourself, and you will see stones, burials with amazing craved symbols. So some of them are Muslim, some of them are Jewish symbols, some of them are I would say a little bit India, a little bit Asia, and then you have texts nearby. Some of the researchers and archaeologists, what they think about it, because most of them were found, and drum rolls please, inside a Caspian Sea. So we every 5 to 10 years Caspian Sea actually shrinks and then it comes back, but it never reaches to the levels that it had been before. So when you visit, let's say, Old City and Maiden Tower, you'll see that Maiden Tower exclusively was built inside the water. That's why half of it is very still and just surrounded by stones, and the next half starts to have some small windows. So, and then Caspian Sea was, shrinking back and back and back. Ships were no longer able to enter the Old City right directly from the front gates, which were then destroyed many years later, and then the back gates were opened, and I was talking about it on my first episode. So if you want to know more, please go back and find the moment on that episode and make sure to dig in. So that's what we have in terms of having 3 areas to visit, completely getting your first day up and running, knowing more than you're supposed to know by the program that is introduced to literally everyone about Baku. And by the time your cup of coffee is expired and you really want to have lunch, what we do is we simply walk among again, very nice green area, straight forward to Deniz Mall, one of the biggest one. The building itself resembles a lotus. I'll make sure to leave a link of the map and the website of the mall that you can just take a look at. So the first floor is entirely for restaurants, for steakhouse, for bagel bar. There's a wonderful bagel bar there, Russian restaurant, fusion restaurant, everything and anything on the first floor, including some shops inside like Swarovski. So you'll see brands, it's a chilling place. They have a food court there. You can find multiple choices, and they also have a corner for fast food, so McDonald's, Burger King, anything and anything, even Turkish fast food. And they have Italian ice cream there. So my favorite place, ice cream. And then on the top level, you also have a miniature Baku. It's mainly for kids, but make sure to check that out. You have the entire Baku city and then all the other cities of Azerbaijan on the tip of your hand. And it's I think the ticket is a little higher than expected, but then again, you'll spend another 2 hours there. The photos that you can take from old Baku, then moving into new Baku, and everything is miniature to the fact that you feel yourself like you're trapped in a Harry Potter movie. So really, go to have the lunch, and my advice would be go to the top level, and then you can have fun. You have a bookshop there, you have Sky Park, where it's all about jumping and having fun. So that's your day until I think 5 p.m. And after 5 p.m., if you feel like you still have an energy, You don't need to go back refreshing up. But if you do, your dinner should be definitely at Four Seasons. Believe me, the first floor restaurant, just give yourself that privilege. You know what I mean? And after that, the chilling wind of Caspian Sea, where you can just go on the ground past the road as soon as you finished with Four Seasons first floor, your dinner. And it's exquisite, by the way, experience for day one. You feel like you just cross the road. It has an underground passage, which resembles a Paris passage in the center of Paris. But anyway, you just, you cross that, and there you have it. You have the entire second half of the Caspian Sea Park right in front of you. You can enjoy it, and while you walk and walk and walk the coastline, which is the longest coastline, by the way, in the world. You can check that on Google. And it was built not in entirely by 1997. It was building since the beginning of 1980s. So by multiple architecture minds, beautiful masterminds of Europe, including some Polish ones as well, which were extremely interested and in love with that city. Some roads and some parts, like some even parts of that park, was exquisitely built to make other old buildings that are facing Caspian Sea to actually enjoy the view on the balcony. So you have the greenery, because there was no greenery before. So there were Polish architects that was so mad, so extremely interested to put that on the map, to put greenery on the map. He was explaining the aesthetics, a long-term aesthetics for the wealthy people that purchased and were building a classical European buildings that you will see to your left side while you walk in the park. So they refused many times. It's like, why you want to put you want to change the coastline that should only reflect Caspian Sea, and add greenery. So he had to fight for several years to get that done. But he has won, and now we have the trees that were planted in their growing stage, in the small stage, now are humongous, and his vision, being at 45 years later, 45 years later, I would say, came to life. So sometimes it takes time. It takes time, and then it takes double time to reach that level. So there you have it, folks. Day one, according to my vision, how to discover Baku from inside out. And next episode, I'm hoping to give you some tips about the city center of Baku, then how you can kind of casually stroll around and still get it out. The information, the beautiful, the vibrant life of cafeterias, which, considering the fact that Azerbaijan is a tea nation, literally tea nation, now it's 50-50. And the coffee culture came since 2012. Before it was Nestle with, quick to go coffee. And now people are like, are you kidding me? Never. I want authentic experience. I want Colombian coffee, or I like the American type of coffee. I like the big Arabica one, African one. So, and each coffee bar is trying really hard to show off what they have in menu that others don't. And by the way, I am planning to have an episode that is entirely dedicated to coffee culture in Baku and places that you can absolutely put on your map. And if you're traveling for 3 or 5 days or 4 days, doesn't matter, even one day, I'll give you a coffee tour of Baku, starting from the institution of baristas that we have in the city center, just hidden somewhere in a beautiful place between the French embassy and museum of the first wealthiest family after oil boom in 1849. So yeah, we're concluding our nice beautiful episode. Make sure to comment if you are looking forward to share your story with me about Baku. If you're not the first time traveler, make sure to do that. I would love to listen to your stories, to your experiences. Good or bad, doesn't matter. Experience is still experience, which we all can learn from. And if you have specific questions that you want to clarify, just make sure to, again, email me and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I'll see you till the next episode.